guys, my name is Mrs. B and welcome back to our channel. So if you are new in this channel, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so that you will be notified whenever I upload a new video. So in today's video, I am going to show you how to fill out the form I-864 for your K2 or derivative applicant. Since I have been receiving a request to make a tutorial for K2 or derivative applicant, here we go. I hope that this video could clarify the confusing part in filling out our form I-864. So here you go and enjoy.
So before I'll start, I would like to remind you guys to use black ink only. And if the boxes is not applicable for you, write NA. So let's start. Affidavit of support under Section 213A of the INA expires on October 31st, 2021. The edition of this form is October 15, 2019. So let's start in part 1. Basis for filing affidavit of support. So in this part, you are going to write down your petitioner's name and you must click 1A. But if you have a co-sponsor, the co-sponsor must write down their name in this space provided and must click the boxes that is applicable for them. In part 2, information about the principal immigrant. So in this part, you are going to write down your name, not your K2's name. So in this part, this is my last name, this is my first name, and this is my middle name. Mailing address. So in this part, you are going to write down your mailing address here in United States. So in care of name, so I write down my husband name in here. And this is our street number and city and town, and this is our zip code. Of course, the country is USA. Other information. So in this part, you are going to write down the information about you. Country of citizenship, nationality, Philippines, date of birth, I was born on July 15, 1987. Alien registration number, so this is my alien registration number. Okay. USCIS online account number. Since we do not have a USCIS online account number, I write an A. And this is my daytime telephone number. So let's move forward in part 3. Information about the immigrants you are sponsoring. So in this part, you are going to write down the name of your derivative applicant. So in this part, I take number 2. I am sponsoring the following family members immigrating at the same time or within 6 months of the principal immigrant name in part 2. So in part 2, so who is the principal immigrant in part 2? So that is me. So in this part, I am going to write down my K2 or derivative applicant name. So this is her last name, her name, and her middle name. Relationship to the principal immigrant. So she is my daughter. Date of birth, this is her birthday. Alien registration number or A number. Since the K2 does not have an A number, so I write an A. USCIS online account number. Since we do not have a USCIS online account number, I write an A. So if you have more than one K2 or derivative applicant, you must write down their information in the space provided from family member 1 to family member 5. But since I only have one derivative applicant or K2, I write in A in these spaces provided. So in number 29, enter the total number of immigrants you are sponsoring on this affidavit, which includes the principal immigrants listed in Part 2. Any immigrants listed in Part 3, item number 1 to 28, and if applicable, any immigrants listed for this question in Part 11 additional information. Do not count the principal immigrant if you are only sponsoring family members entering more than 6 months after the principal immigrants. So in this part, I write down 2 since my husband is sponsoring me and my daughter at the same time. But if your husband, petitioner, or co-sponsor is just sponsoring your K2, you must write down the total number of your derivative applicant or K2 that is being sponsored. And part 4, information about you. So this part, this is the information of your petitioner. So this is my petitioner last name, first name, and middle name. Sponsor's mailing address. So I care of to my husband name. This is our mailing address and this is our country, USA. Is your current mailing address is the same as your physical address. So since my current mailing address and my physical address are the same, so I think yes. But if your mailing address and your current physical address is not the same, you must tick no and you must provide the information in item number 3, item number 4A to 4H. So since my physical address and my mailing address are the same, I will write in A in this space provided. Other information, country of domicile. So my husband was born here in the United States, so his country of domicile is USA. This is his birth date. This is the city or town of birth, state or province of birth, country of birth, and this is his social security number. Citizenship or residency. So in this part, my husband tick 1A. I am a US citizen. And since he is a US citizen, he does not have an A number. Sponsors USCIS online account number. Since we do not have USCIS online account number, I write NA. Military service to be completed by petitioner, sponsors only. So in this part, in number 14, I am currently on active duty in U.S. Armed Force or U.S. Coast Guard. So I think no because my husband or my sponsor is not currently active or did not serve in the U.S. Armed Force or Coast Guard. So let's move forward in Part 5. A sponsor's household size. Note, do not count any members of your household more than once. Person you are sponsoring in this affidavit. Number 1, provide the number you entered in Part 3, item number 29. So in this part, I will write down 2 since I entered 2 in Part 3, item number 29. But just to make sure, let's check out Part 3, item number 29. So in Part 3, item number 29, I write down 2 in the space provided since my petitioner or my sponsor is sponsoring me and my derivative applicant or K2. But if your sponsor or your petitioner is just sponsoring your derivative applicant, you must write down the count of the derivative or K2 applicant that being sponsored in this space provided. So since I write down 2, I will write down 2 in Part 5, item number 1. So I will write down 2 in this space provided. persons not sponsored in this affidavit. So in this part, I will write down 1 and number 2 because my husband is not sponsoring himself in this part. And item number 3, if you are currently married, enter 1 for your spouse. So in this part, I'll write down 0. This is very confusing part because it says persons not sponsored in this affidavit. So in this part, since my husband is sponsoring me and my K2, then I will write 0 in this space provided, even though in this part is you are not currently or you are not being sponsored in this affidavit. But since I am being sponsored in this affidavit, I write down 0. But again, if you are applying for I-864 for your K2 only, you must write down 1 in this space provided if the sponsor or the petitioner is sponsoring only your derivative applicant. Then you must write down yourself in here. Write down 1 for the spouse, okay? Be careful in this part because this is very confusing part. Number 4, if you have dependent children, enter the number here. So since my husband does not have dependent or children, I write down 0. But if your partner or your petitioner or your husband has children, you must count the children and enter the number in this space provided because they are not being sponsored in this part, okay? If you have any other dependents, enter the number here. So aside from the children, and if your petitioner, sponsor, or your husband have any other dependents, you must write down the number in this space provided. Number 6, if you have sponsored any other person on Form I-864 or Form I-864-EZ who are no lawful permanent residents, enter the number here. So in this part, if your petitioner or your sponsor or your co-sponsor had sponsored a person before or immigrants that is now a lawful permanent resident here in United States, you or the sponsor, the petitioner must write down the number of the person he sponsored before, okay? But since my husband did not sponsor anybody here in United States that became a residence, so I write 0 in this space provided. 7, optional. If you have siblings, parents, or adult children with the same principal residence who are combining their income with yours by submitting Form I-864A, enter the number here. So I entered 0 because my husband does not have siblings, parents, or children that is residing in the same residence and combining their income, so I write 0. But if you have, you must count those family members and write down the total in this space provided. Number 8, add together part 5, item number 1 to 7, enter the number here. So in this part, you are going to add all together in part 5, number 1 to 7. So I'm gonna count the 1. So since I write down 2 in here and I write down 1 in here for my husband, the total of my household size is 3. Okay? But if you write down other number or a number in this space provided, you must count the number of each person in this space provided and total them all in this space provided. For example, you write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 person in this space provided, then you must add them all and write down the total in this space provided. Okay? Part 6. Sponsors employment and income. So this part, I am currently, so my husband is currently employed. So I pick number 1 and his job in this space provided. Retired, if your husband is retired, then write down the date, month, and year in this space provided. Unemployed, the date, month, and year in this space provided. Number 7, my current individual annual income is. So this is my husband or my petitioner current individual income. So if your co-sponsor or husband petitioner currently income is over 95,000 or less than 95,000, you still have to write down that income in this space provided. Income you are using from the other person who was counted in your household size, including in certain condition the intending immigrants. See Form I-864 instruction. Please indicate name, relationship, and income. So in this part, if you are combining the income from your family members, children, in part 7, item number 7, part 5, then you must write down the person name in this space provided, the relationship, and the income of that person in this space provided. So since my husband is not combining any income to a family member, children, or any relative, so I write an A in this space provided. So let's move forward in part 6. So this is just the continuation in part 6 above. Sponsors, employment, and income. Number 20, current annual household income. Total all lines from part 6, item number 7, 10, 13, 16, and 19. The total will be compared to federal poverty guidelines on Form I-864. So in this part, you are going to total all the household income from part 6, item number 7, 10, 13, 16, and 19. So let's take a look in this part. So in part 6, item number 7. So in item number 7, this is the total annual income of my petitioner. And item number 8, 10. So this part I write in A because we are not combining the income of my petitioner in any other household member. So I write in A. So this will equivalent of 0. And item number 13, I write in A again. So this will be 0. Item number 16, I write in A, so this will be 0. And item number 19, I write in A. So the total annual household income will be 95,000 US dollar. But just a reminder again, if you write down an income in this items, you must calculate them including the item number 7. So since we only have 95,000 US dollar in item number 7 and 0 from 10 to 19, I am going to write down 95,000 US dollar in this space provided. Okay? Number 21, the people listed in item number 8, 11, 14, and 17 have completed Form I-864A. I am filing along with this affidavit with all necessary Form I-864As completed by these people. So in this part, I'm not going to take this part because we are not combining any income from the people or from the relatives in item number 8, 11, and 14. Including the 17. So I'm not going to take this box. But again, as a reminder, if you can combine your income to any person in your household member, then you must write down their names in item number 8, 11, 14, and 17. And these people that was listed in this item must complete the affidavit Form I-864As. Okay? Number 22. One or more of the people listed in item numbers 8, 11, 14, and 17 do not need to complete Form I-864A because he or she is the intending immigrant and has no accompanying dependents. So in this part, since we did not write down any people in item number 8, 11, 14, and 17, I'm not going to take this box and I will write down NA in this space provided. Okay? Federal Income Tax Return Information 23A. Have you filed a federal income tax return for each of the 3 months recent tax years? So I think yes because my sponsor or my derivative applicant sponsor had filed the income tax return. Okay, so I will take yes. But if you think no, you must attach a photocopy or transcript of your federal income tax return for only the most recent tax years. Number 23B, optional. I have attached a photocopies or transcript of my federal income tax return for my second and third most recent tax years. So in this part, I think 23B because my petitioner or my derivative applicant petitioner have attached the copy of the most recent tax years. Okay, just to be safe, you must attach the copy of your most recent tax years. So, my total income, adjusted gross income on Internal Revenue Service Form 1040EZ, as reported on my federal income tax return for the most recent 3 years was. So, this is the tax years and the income. Number 25. I was not required to file a federal income tax return as my income was below the IRS required level and I have attached evidence to support this. So since we attach the evidence that we have filed that most recent tax or income tax, I am not going to take this part. And also my husband income is above the IRS required level or above the poverty, I am not going to take this box, okay? Part 7, use of asset to supplement income. This is just an optional. If your income or total income for you and your household from Part 6, item number 20 or 24A to 24.6, see the federal poverty guidelines for your household size. You are not required to complete Part 7. Skip to Part 8. So since I have mentioned a while ago that my husband income is above the poverty guidelines of United States, then we are going to skip this Part 7 to Part 8. But if your sponsor or petitioner income is below the poverty guidelines, your petitioner or sponsor or your derivative applicant, sponsor, or petitioner must fill out this form. Okay? This is just to prove that the petitioner can support your derivative applicant in the United States. Okay? So, since my husband or my petitioner for my derivative applicant income is above poverty, I am going to skip the Part 7 to Part 8. So I will just write down NA in this space provided. Do not leave the boxes or the space provided empty. Write down NA, okay? Part 7 to Part 8. I am going to skip the Part 7 to Part 8. So let's move forward in Part 8. So since I skipped the Part 8 this part, we cannot skip this part, okay? Part 8, sponsors, contract, statement, contact information, declaration, certification, and signature. This is your petitioner or the derivative petitioner information, okay? So, guys, your petitioner or the sponsor must read this part carefully, okay? Read this part carefully. sponsor statement. So in this part, note select the box for either item 1A or 1B. If applicable, select the box for item number 2. So in this part, I take 1A because my husband can understand and read English. Okay? 1B, so the husband does not need an interpreter or a preparer. So this is the sponsor's contact information. He does not have a daytime telephone number, and this is the mobile number, and this is his email. Okay? This is the sponsor declaration and certification. The sponsor must read this carefully and understand this carefully before submitting this Form I-864 for your derivative applicant. Sponsor's contract statement, contact information, declaration, certification, and signature. So this is just the continuation. Your sponsors must read all of this. So your sponsor's signature and the date where they signed this application. Part 9, the interpreter. So since my sponsor or my derivative applicant sponsor does not have an interpreter, I write in A. And also the address and the contact information of the interpreter. But if your sponsor have an interpreter, you must write down the sponsor interpreter information in this space provided. Okay? In part 10, this is the preparer's full name. So since my sponsor or my derivative applicant sponsor do not have a preparer, I write in A in this space provided. Okay? Write in A if these are not applicable for you. So, of course, the signature of the preparer, I write in A because we do not have a preparer. My petitioner or my derivative sponsor or petitioner have or did not have any preparer. Okay? Part 11. Additional information. So in this part, if you have any additional information that you must write down and run out of space in the part of the form, you can use this part. Okay? So that will be all for today.
I hope this tutorial helped you to finally submit your Form I-864, and good luck and God bless to your application. Please don't forget also to leave your comment below.